All right, hey, welcome to our first peanut gallery on the road.
Woo!
Yeah, we've never gone mobile before, and so we are very excited about this episode. We are mobile in St. Thomas. We are at Harvest Hands here with Jim Collins.
And good morning to you.
Hey, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Most of you guys probably won't know him, and that's why we're doing this, because we know your story, we know what you do, and we love what you do. What you do here blesses our community in so many ways. Most of you guys who are following us know that we're very involved in Family Central, and a lot of the food that we serve and a lot of the things that we get to do are because of the work Harvest Hands does, and so it's a personal connection to us. You've blessed our community a lot already. And so with that, okay, so why don't we start then? Because they don't know who you are. Right. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Okay.
And then what you do here, and then we'll kind of go into the why.
All right. Well, thank you very much for the opportunity to be able to tell the story of Harvest Hands and how God has really been able to bless so many people throughout the whole southwestern Ontario region. A little bit back information. My family, we've been in business. We're in business, I should say, almost 40 years in this region, and we were in the nursery business, the transportation business, and the printing business, and just recently we started in earnest. Actually, last February, we recognized that there's a great need. There's a lot of hungry people in the area. It's shocking to know that almost 50% of all food produced in Canada is wasted,
right.
and 1 in 8 persons in Canada experience some measure of food insecurity each and every day. And so without really understanding it, what we're doing now is we're trying to bridge the gap. On one end of the food spectrum, you have all of this extra production, wasted product. On the other end, you have people that don't have enough food to get by. And so by bridging the gap, we're able to bring benefit to both people and at the same time have a great impact on humanity.
All right. Okay. So let's go through. So how long has this thing been running?
We started on February the 1st of 2020. So
I didn't even know. Okay,
yeah.
So it hasn't been that. Wow.
No, it hasn't, and it really started out. We operate Harvest Outreach International, which is a church. Our group meets on Friday nights. We have Bible school during the week. We have prayer. We go to the streets evangelizing. And we've always taken care of a handful of people, maybe 10 or 12 families. And then it just occurred to me that why don't we try to take care of a few more people? So I started knocking on doors. I went to greenhouse growers. I went to retailers. I went to bakeries. And my story was simple. I said that we're trying to help those in need, those most disadvantaged in our community. And do you have any seconds, or do you have any surplus product, or maybe you have some product that's approaching the best before dates? And to my absolute amazement, they just opened up. The door, the floodgates actually opened. And so it was, in the beginning, it was very small and very modest. I remember we were looking after 7 places in St. Thomas. And remember.
Explain that then.
Yeah.
Looking after 7 places. What does that mean?
Okay, that means we deliver food to food banks. We deliver food to missions, shelters, soup kitchens, just anybody that has a need. And at the moment, we last week we just went over 90 locations that we deliver to, and that's basically from Windsor, Sarnia, Chatham, London, Kitchener, Brantford, Burlington. We now deliver into Scarborough, and it's been amazing how how God has opened up doors that. That we absolutely could not have done otherwise. I always say that I'm just not that smart. And but I remember one time I was picking up some tomatoes and peppers and cucumbers down in the Kingsville area, and I was supposed to pick up 2 pallets of product. And when I got there, the guy said to me, "Well, I actually have 7 pallets." And very early on, one of the food banks said to me, he said, "If you're going to ask for food, never say no." So I didn't say no. So I was driving back home, and I got about as far as Chatham, and I actually started to tremble because this is in the not middle of winter, but it's late winter. I have no refrigeration. I have actually no place to store the things, and I'm driving back with these 7 pallets. And I remember I had the thought, there's this great waste in Canada, right. And so I don't want to be part of that by bringing it and traveling 200 kilometers right. down the road and then throwing it out. So I thought, and it's just like God dropped this particular location into my head, and it was a food bank distribution center, some similar to what we're doing, and I had never talked to them. I just seen their website. So I called this lady and I told her what I had, and she said, "You got to be kidding me." She says, "We have absolutely no peppers, no cucumbers, nothing to." So I drove up there, and then when I was up there, she said to me, "Well, I've got extra pasta and I've got extra cereal and all this kind of stuff." And I think I took 4 pallets up and I brought 5 pallets back.
Oh, wow.
And early on especially I remember going to one of the retailers, and I went in and I made my spiel. I had put together a really modest kind of a brochure, and I told him what we were doing, and he said, that's already taken care of. People pick that up, and I said, "Well, I'm just asking." So, and I walked away, and surely my head was down, and I felt like a fool, and I got in my car, and then this guy comes up behind me, and he's yelling at me, and I thought, "What, did I back out in front of him or something?" I don't know. And anyway, he said, "They want to talk to you," and so I went back in, and he said, "You know what? I was thinking about it." He said, "Can you be here every Sunday morning at 7:00?" And I just believe that, God moved on their heart, and we have, and since that time, we have picked up there every Sunday ever since. And I could tell you so many stories of a product that they given to us, like $7,000 worth of product at a crack, and not necessarily perishable things as right. well. So it's just been it's been extraordinary. Throughout my whole life, I've always I've always used my faith. We've been believers, and I've used my faith, but I've never experienced such a actually, it says, we have not because we ask not. When right. we ask amiss. When we ask for something, it's like it just comes pouring in. It's absolutely amazing, and we're just so humbled and honored to be able to be part of it. But in as much as there's this great abundance of food, we add sometimes 5 or 6 different groups to what we're doing every right. week, and we're not actively going out and trying to find right. new sources. People hear about it, and one thing I noticed in this, you could call it an industry, I don't know what else to call it, but the people that give and give out food, they have a like a heart for people. They're very generous, they're very compassionate, and so we've really been fortunate to be able to connect in that. And there's one of the things that I didn't realize is that there's a well-established food bank system, right. which is somewhat of a safety net for those who are in real bad shape. But there's still hundreds and hundreds of people that fall through the cracks, and
Right.
I'm not certain, why that is, but there's a lot of organizations that maybe look after 20 or 30 or 40 people. And at the very beginning, when we kind of wrote out what we wanted to do, we said we want to be a distribution center. We don't want to be preparing individual hampers or meals for individuals. Not because we don't have a heart for that,
Right.
but that it's my background has been in shipping and distribution and transportation, and so I'm trying to leverage that knowledge to be able to reach a lot of people. And it's been, like I say this all the time, it's the easiest thing I ever did. The easiest thing we've ever done, but it's a lot of work, and I'll tell you, it's almost 7 full days a week. It's because the product is perishable.
Right.
We're believing for a walk-in cooler and a walk-in freezer. At the moment, we have 30 refrigerators and
Wow.
fridges. And we will we'll fill them and empty them, fill them and empty them, fill them and empty them 3 times a week, and. But it's just amazing how much in business, you have to have a marketing plan, you have to strategize, you have to do everything but stand on your head. And this, you just have to show up
Right.
and be willing.
Right.
And when I remember one of the first times that we left after I picked up at Costco, I remember it's like the thought occurred to me, this is seed. This is seed, because
Right.
I should mention that up to this point, yesterday, the day before, we've picked up and delivered $3.3 million
Wow.
worth of product. Last week alone
Wow.
was $92,000 that we picked up. We didn't deliver it all, but we picked it up. And I remember driving out and saying that stuff that I have in the back, and in those days it was just maybe it was
Right.
50 or 60 loaves of bread, and so we treated that as seed, and it says when you sow, it comes back to you.
Right.
It's like a cob of corn. You put one seed in the ground and you get multiple seeds back, and that's how it's been. I actively solicited suppliers, donors of food in the beginning, but I can say honestly, except for contacting and maintaining relationships with our existing suppliers, I haven't done any active soliciting,
Right.
and I know if we did, I think the sky is the limit. We moved from. We were located before over at the Grace Hall on Balaclava Street in town, and I think you've been
Yes,
there,
yeah.
and so when we received a truckload of food, we would have to take it off the truck and then shove it in on rollers. And then it had to go down another conveyor, down 6 steps, onto another set of rollers. We pushed it along. And then when we got it to the end, we put it in grocery carts, and then we took it over and put it on the pallet. So it was very, very hard to do. And it was a lot of work. And we couldn't do any of this without our absolutely faithful, steadfast, tireless volunteers.
Right.
No one in the Harvest Hands organization is paid. It's 100% volunteers.
Wow.
And so when we moved over here, we had this thing called a lift truck. And so what would, if you get a load of like 7 or 8 pallets of product, that would take you a day, honestly, and you mightn't get it all put away a day. We can do it in 10 or 15 minutes.
Right.
So and plus we had roughly 5,000 square feet over there, which was broken up and rooms and all that kind of stuff. But here we have almost 13,000 square feet, and I remember in one of our meetings, and there was a man, and he said to me, okay, so you did you did almost $3 million in that place over there. So there's really no reason why you can't do 10 million here. And I said, yeah, thanks a lot. But it is true. It's very the yes. Yeah.
Well, and so I want to pause for a little bit, because for people who haven't been in that type of an industry or worked with a food bank or anything, to understand the need for something like this. So for us at Family Central, we'll have people come in and their hearts are in an amazing place and they want to give.
Exactly.
And so they come in and they say, okay, I got 10 bags of whatever that thing is.
Yes.
But for us, as an organization that feeds 30 people a day, we don't have room to store all that stuff.
Right,
and so now we got way too much cereal or way too much pasta or way too many vegetables.
Yeah.
And some people kind of get frustrated. They're like, well, I'm trying to give, I'm trying to help. And yeah, I know, but it's just too much. And so the beauty of this is, and so we've sent everybody your way. We're trying to help you reach your 10 million.
You bring up a really interesting point, because out of the 90 locations that we go to, there's probably 10 food banks that we deliver to, and food banks, they have campaigns and they have highs and they have lows, just like everybody, and their Food Bank Canada and Food Ontario, they often will make large purchases on behalf of the food banks and deliver to them. And one of the things that we've been able to do is, and I remember one particular food bank, they said, we received 700 liters of milk, and he said, realistically, I can use maybe 250 over the next 2 weeks, and he'll call us, and we'll just go pick it up. And most of the time, any surplus like that, we can usually get rid of it before we're back home. So it's hard not to waste food, and I understand that. I was in the nursery business for 40 years, and I remember at the end of the season, we would, it wasn't unusual for us to throw out 50,000 roses, but we grew 1 million. So when you do the math, it's only 5%. So I suspect that the food production trends, weather, all those things are a factor. So it's I understand why there is so much waste. Well,
and most of the people we've talked to, they don't want to waste it. They just don't know where to put it.
No.
Like who wants to accept, 50,000 roses? Where do you bring this stuff? And so I think that is what's so incredible about this mission.
Yeah, exactly.
And how much it's benefited for us as Family Central. Like Carolyn will often come in here and this is her grocery store.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's been incredible, because the other thing that I'm blown away, and you know what, there's so much negative about humanity over the last year and a half.
Yeah.
There are just an amazing amount of people out there who legit are generous, who are,
there is.
We don't know their names and they don't want their names known, but they're like, here, take this. And the quality of stuff that's being brought in, like often when you think about, donation points, people kind of drop off their junk a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
But my experience has been the majority don't. They want to give you good stuff.
Yeah.
But then they want to make sure that their good stuff is being distributed well. And this is correct. This is where this is incredible. Yeah. And just absolutely love what you guys are doing. So walk us through a little bit, what does a day-to-day look like? Like how do you manage this?
Before we go there, I'd like to just share one real quick story with you. I went down to pick up, received a call from one of our regular suppliers. And she said, I always call her and say, do you have anything available? And she said, yeah, I have a lot available. She said, we had a major chain cancel an entire truckload of tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, like absolutely pristine material. And so anyway, we drove down, made 2 trips. On my second trip back, I was so overwhelmed with, I was, I couldn't hardly control my emotions. So I picked up the phone and I don't know if I told you the story. I called her and I said to her, I said, I can't find the words to express how grateful we are, and to let you know that, we're not going to waste any of this. And she said, stop it. She said, stop it. She said, we should be thanking you and your organization and your volunteers because she said, otherwise this would have all gone to the landfill. Right. And it was, and I mean, and like you said, I didn't, it says we're always supposed to look for the best in people, but it's really true. Right. In this, I have never seen people so generous. And the other thing is that there's no such a thing as competition.
Right.
Like, how there is in the business world, everybody competes with everybody. But in this, it's like, let's work together. It's amazing. Yeah.
All right, so tell me about some of these volunteers and how you logistically pull this off.
Okay.
And then we'll do a bit of a volunteer push for you to make sure that you get enough. Because this is such a valuable thing. Like, if you want to feed somebody in your community, it takes a lot of work. And I think one of the few things humanity agrees on is that no one should starve.
Right. Exactly.
I think we all agree on that. The challenge is that we don't all know how to solve, especially when you look globally. I don't know how to solve all of that. Yeah. But certainly in our own neighborhood, we can do a better job. Absolutely. And this is one of those ways that really helps us with it.
Well, it's. I'm glad that you brought this up because there's two elements to what we do, and two major aspects of Harvest Hands, and one is the food, and the other is the labor, and it's very labor intensive. We have to pick up the food when we receive it. If it's in bulk quantities, we have to break it down into more manageable and sizes that can be efficiently consumed. We have if we receive product from several grocery stores. That's either today is the day the best before date, or it was yesterday, and so we have to go through and sort it out, process it. But we have at the moment 56 volunteers, and they just give. We've seen some of them this morning. I mean, they just work and work and work. Some of them work 4 hours a week. I have some that work 45, 50, even 60 hours a week. So they're and the average age is about 66 years old. And
you're what, 55?
I'm 50. Well, there's a balloon hanging in my office, and everybody thought I was 50, but it's 50 years married. I'm 72.
Wow.
But there's people are so generous, with their time, and it's not like they're here to be acknowledged or anything like that. It's just out of the goodness of their heart that they do it. It's the actual process is we've had many people come through here and say, well, you need to put this in on a computer and then send out lists to all of your recipients and let them order, and it just wouldn't work. It would never work because first of all, we never know what we're going to have. I mean, there's some things that you have, but as far as anything that's perishable, I got a call the other day from a large retailer, and they said, can you come up right away? We have 360 loaves of garlic bread that they came in as a double order, and so it's always there's always something, or they'll call and say, look, I've got 3 skids of pineapples, or I've got 4 skids of onions. And I had a guy call me last week and said, after the end of the month, I can give you 15 skids of squash. It goes like that like constantly.
So it's never a dull day anyway.
It's never a dull day. So what we have to do is and I'm not sure how we can sort of streamline that, but basically you get a rough idea of what's coming in. We sketch it out on a piece of paper. We get together in the morning and you start loading the trucks, and the drivers, they know what they know. First of all, like if you're delivering to a food bank, you don't want to send them, great big cans of, 2.8 liter cans of pasta sauce. But that would be great for for your location, or for the, like a soup kitchen or something like that. So it's really it's a really, really busy time. We start early in the morning so we can, get everybody out, that type of thing.
So 2 questions then. The one is, if you wanted to volunteer, what's that process look like? How do you find out more? How do you schedule that?
It's really very simple. You can go to our website, harvesthands.ca, and there's an opportunity there for you press a button, fill out a form, and we'll contact you right away. And we have many volunteers. We've never really advertised for volunteers. I remember early on there was 2 ladies that lived a couple streets over where we were over in Balaclava. And they just showed up, and I always get in trouble for this. But the one lady's 72, and the other's 78. They're here today, and they're here 5 days a week. Wow. And I remember another one, one of the more elderly. I use the term elderly carefully. An elderly person said, if I wasn't here doing this, I'd be sitting on my rocking chair, watching the soaps or something. So I mean, it's and I've watched people that struggled physically in the beginning. They're getting through that, and they're out there slugging cases of this and that. So it's it's just a great thing, And we didn't. It's not like it's not like we planned. We kind of outlined what we wanted to do, but we never could have imagined that this would happen, and we were so thankful for that.
All right, so then follow up to that. If people are wanting to donate, how do they do that?
Okay. Again, that's a simple process. They can go to our website, harvesthands.ca, and there you can you're welcome to send us in a one-time donation, or one of the things that works very nicely too is to sign up for our monthly support, and that helps us get through the peaks and valleys of the financing.
And finally, I said 2 questions. I lied. It'll be 3. But anyways, third question. If you are a charity who wants to receive from you guys, how do they do that?
Again, visit our website, harvesthands.ca, and we'll be glad to do it. I'll share with you just a quick story. 2 weeks ago, I had heard about there was one area that we wanted to, that we weren't doing anything in, and I'd gone down there a couple times, and I just couldn't get any traction. And so anyway, somebody gave me the name of this place, and they told me on a Monday, and all day long I was thinking I need to call this person, and I didn't do it. And then all day Tuesday passed by, and I didn't do it. And then Wednesday morning, it's like somebody pushed me to do it. So I picked up the phone, and I said to the lady, I told her who we were, where we were from, and what kind of things. And she said, this has to be God. She said, we have people streaming through it's a fairly large city, streaming through the door. And she said, we have practically no food left. And the driver told me when they got back, they said they had like no food left. Wow. So we go down there, we take that 14-foot van, we go there every week now. Do I have time for one more story?
Yeah.
I was actually in my office, and this lady came up and knocked on my door, and she said, I received some food from you through one of the other. What happens is when you deliver to some of these places, if there are people like me that'll never say no, so they'll take everything, but then they have people that they can give to. It's like a network.
Yeah.
And she said, I received some of the food that you dropped off at this particular place, and she said, I just want to tell you that I myself and 5 other volunteers, we look after a London housing project. And long story short, it's not a long story, but it's 200. They have 235 people in the apartment, and 230 apartments, almost 400 people, and there's 70% seniors on fixed incomes. And she said when COVID hit, she said the church used to look after them, but the church stopped coming there. So what she does, they take food and put it by the garbage, the door to the garbage chute, and the people pick it up. So we've been delivering there ever since, like a big truckload, and they get rid of it. She told me that they start on the top floor and the bottom floor, and she said by the time we get it all distributed and go back up, she said 90% of it's gone. Wow. And so there's pockets of the people that we don't even. Does that ever hit the news?
No.
Do we? I mean, I had no idea that there's that kind of need out there. So, so it's and the other thing is that we've been absolutely blessed with an abundance of of fresh, like of product, like potatoes and squash and cucumbers, peppers and tomatoes. When we take it down to like Burlington and Scarborough, like they hardly ever see that type of product. So we try to as much as possible enhance like the protein part of their diet and fresh vegetables. You know, you can always get pasta and things like that, but it's just an amazing thing that. And one of the really exciting things for us is that we've actually been approached by a couple of people in another region, one a long ways away, and they said, you know, like, would you be willing to help us, you know, set up something like this? So I said, yeah, as soon as we get all our ducks in a row and we can manage
that 10 million, then
yeah,
you can, right?
Exactly. So it's a simple, you know, I mean, you know, the gymnasium that we met in, that's where we used to gather for church, and that's where we had our conferences. And when COVID came, like my wife says, you kicked us out, and that's where it's not a bad thing, because that's where we need to be. We need to be out in the street, and we've said all along that this food, it's about something else. It's not just about the. It's not just about the food. It's about meeting their physical needs and helping them. And we haven't got it finished yet, but we're working on on our website. There'll be a resource center. We're going to be putting in a buck slip into some of the packages that we send out, and which will direct them to the website, and then we'll have. Things in there where they can like help them with like get debt management and how to eat properly and manage relationships. I mean, it's all kind of down the road a little bit, but there's a great opportunity. There's so much need out there right now. Yeah.
Well, and you can look at it very simplistic and go, well, we just got to feed them, but nobody wants to be getting food from food banks. Nobody wants that. So if we can, feed them 100%.
Yeah.
But if we can also help them get back up on their feet, that's a far more human thing to do than just to say, here, take a handout, right?
Exactly. We want to give them a hand up, not a handout.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So one of the things that, just a kind of a bit of a closing thought, but over the last year and a half, the majority of attention has gone to Christians who are angry about government action.
Yes.
And I think it's a shame. Mm-hmm. I think there are so many people who are Christians who are doing what you're doing that nobody knows your name, but you're out there, you're serving, you're on the front line going, I just love my neighbor. I really do. I love my neighbor. I care for my neighbor.
Yes.
And I'm going to sacrifice to try to enable them to live their fullest life. And I think it's a beautiful picture of what the church should be. Yeah, exactly. If people read the scriptures, they know that Jesus cared deeply about the poor. Exactly. And it's a shame that not enough Christians do. Yeah. And so you are an inspiration to us. You are an inspiration to our community. And our hope is that we can continue to work alongside you guys and reach that 10 million, maybe 20, 30, whatever it takes. Sky's the limit, you said, right? So, those are your words.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you so much. I so appreciate the opportunity to be able to share our story. So
awesome. Hey, well, thanks for watching. Thanks for paying attention, and we'll see you on the next one.